Hey Ringside crew, welcome to the internationally known Dudes at Ringside podcast. And now here's your host, Joe Panther III.
Hello there, wrestling fans. Welcome to another episode of the internationally known Dudes at Ringside podcast. I am Joe Panther III. And today, Ringside crew, you are in for a treat. This young lady just took her first steps in the ring. Let's give a warm Dudes at Ringside welcome to my guest. Introduce yourself to my internationally known audience.
Hey, thank you so much for having me on. Joiya Blake, also known as Dirty J.
So, what does it feel like? You just got finished with your training. So what does it feel like you're actually able to now physically do matches?
It was a long time. It was 2 years plus of training with a little sabbatical in there. But it was a crazy experience to finally step out there with a real crowd and finally see what I've been training for so long. It was so fun and a moment that could never be replicated again.
Awesome. So who trained you?
I originally was trained in Pittsburgh, actually, for a couple months. I went to school in Pittsburgh and was in the area, and I started training. And then after a couple months, I had to move away. And then I found another school very close to me, which I was very thankful for. So I finished my training 2 years with Ethan at Palmetto Wrestling Academy in South Carolina.
Awesome. South Carolina in the house.
Yes.
So, let's go back to when you were still in school and you were training in Pittsburgh. What were your thought process? What did you think? Were you excited? How did you find the school?
I had no idea what I was doing. I was not a wrestling fan. I was an all-star cheer coach. I cheered competitively and was studying to be a lawyer, actually. Wow. And I was dragged along to a wrestling show. I'd never seen a wrestling show live, never seen any TV wrestling or anything like that growing up. And I was sitting there, might have had one too many beverages, but I was watching all these women come out and go in this ring and fight and have their names chanted, and the energy in the room was insane. And I thought, this is something that I could do. And I signed up right there. I found the closest school to me, which was about 45 minutes away from where I was living at the time. And I just kind of jumped headfirst into this crazy world of wrestling.
And welcome to it.
It's been great.
Yeah. So what has been the toughest thing you had to deal with within the training when you were in Pittsburgh?
In Pittsburgh, just falling. You spend your entire life from when you're a baby and when you're growing up trying not to fall. And then someone's telling you, hey, I need you to throw yourself at the ground as hard as you can. And it's a really weird thing to wrap your head around, especially having not been a fan and not knowing moves or anything like that. It was a weird thing to jump into.
I can imagine going after the training that day. Did you go home and have a black and blue, and then somebody else that doesn't watch wrestling see the arm and you go, is everything okay?
Oh yeah, I've had so many of them. Even now, people know that I do wrestling, but they obviously it's choreographed. Shh, don't tell anyone.
Oh, no, I should have that meme. Should have that meme of the guy going, still real to me now.
It's real to me. But even now, they'll be like, oh my God, why are you hurt? I'm like, there's still contact.
Do we need to call the police?
Yeah.
So how did you come up with this character, this name, Dirty J?
Dirty J? It's me. Can't you tell? I don't know. I feel like it's one of those things where a nickname just kind of comes out. I was only a couple months into training in South Carolina, and I said something probably snarky, and I was tired, and my coach loved it. He thought it was hilarious. And would not stop calling me Dirty J from that moment on. And it took me a good year to be like, okay, I don't hate this. I was really against it at the beginning. I was like, no, don't call me Dirty J. That's weird. But I got pulled into the black hole that has been Dirty J, and it has just completely taken over my life.
So, like, when it comes to that, do you count yourself more like the heel, or you count yourself as a face? Like, what do you feel like?
Listen, if I didn't say this, my coach would be mad, but a good wrestler can do both. But
Okay.
for Dirty J, I do the same thing. So whether I'm a heel in a situation or a face, I do the same actions because to me, whether you're heel or a face is just how the crowd responds to what you're doing. So I don't particularly want to be it's more gray in my mind what Dirty J is. And I tend to lean more face, but I think that's just because I just debuted. And with that, you have that sort of hype just in the beginning because fans are excited for you. Like I announced before I debuted, so people sort of knew me and it sort of just fell into people were excited and they're going to cheer for you. So I'll see where it goes. I'm sure it will evolve, but that's where it's at the moment.
So, who was your first match?
My first match was against Dennis, his DPJ Super Indie at PCW, Palmetto Championship Wrestling, and he helped train me. He graduated about 6 months ago, so not too long ahead of me, but he's been training for 5 years and he really has helped me. He takes the time to we'll stay after class together and we'll work through things together and we'll come up with new moves. So it was a really fun and exciting experience to be able to debut with someone I'm so close to.
So, like, when it comes to your move set, do you ever, I know you said you didn't watch wrestling growing up, but do you ever watch anybody's moves in the indies or anybody in the AEWs and the WWEs that go by?
AEW, definitely AEW. I watch a lot of AEW. Chris Statlander, she was a big one when I first started wrestling because we have similar styles. She's not super tiny, so she's not super high flyy. She's strong, and that's how I want to portray myself as. She's been great. And then when Jamie Hayter came on, that's my girl. I miss her. I even to this day I'm waiting for her to come back because I feel like she really embodies what I want to portray in wrestling.
Awesome. So, I sure you had your first match was against a man. So
Yes.
there's a lot of people that are doing the intergender matches a lot.
Yeah.
Would you ever try to go after a guy's title, like a male's title?
Definitely. Oh, absolutely. I was the only girl in my training class. So I've wrestled one girl training twice. So that's the only experience that I have wrestling women. But I wrestle girls the same way I wrestle guys. In my mind, it's sort of all the same. And I'm very lucky to be at a company and a school that supports that and encourages that and is very much into the intergender. Doesn't matter. The best person is going to hold the belt.
And you're going to win it anyway. We know that.
Oh, trust me. I've got my eyes on her. I'm going for it. Give me a couple months.
When you win that belt, you please send us the picture. I will.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It'll be everywhere.
For you because I feel so much coming from you right now, Dirty J. You got this. Dudes at Ringside. This podcast has helped people win championships and names have gone. See, I'm sending you the good vibes as I'm saying. I had Billy Stark on the podcast, and look where that woman is right now.
Yeah.
She's in AEW. She came on She was on Dudes at Ringside, back in the day. But she was on here when she was a young puppy, still flying around the indie scene in her little spaceship, going after them little cows because she's Space Jesus. I want you to know. She doesn't talk about it anymore, but she was Space Jesus in the indie scene.
I didn't know that.
Yes. If I can find the clip, I will definitely send it to you because it was so funny. She's like, "Oh, Space Jesus." And everybody's just like, I could hear the other side of the wrestling fans going, "That's not nice. Don't say that." It's a wrestling gimmick. Really, people? Come on. Put a zipper on that one. Yeah. So what has been like the toughest thing you've had to deal with being in wrestling? Do you ever have to like cancel a gig, cancel a since you're new, like cancel a thing because you have to do something with family like that with wrestling and stuff like that?
With training, obviously, because that's what I've been doing for so long. With my job, I travel a lot. I work in production, so I'm sort of all over the places, and it's definitely taken me out of a week of training at a time, and that's really hard because when you're working within your class and they're there for a week that you're not, that's 2 or 3 practice matches that you're missing out on, and you don't want to feel like you're falling behind. So I would go in. We have training twice a week, but there's classes running on different days. So I would go in on a class that wasn't my day just so I could get extra reps in. So I didn't fall behind. That's one thing I refuse to do. But it's hard balancing training, life, family, and I can imagine it's only going to get harder the more shows that I have.
So is there anywhere on the map that you haven't thrown a dart at yet that you want to go and wrestle?
Well, my dart was thrown actually. I don't know if you've seen this. IWC in Pittsburgh. I threw my dart there first and it happened to stick. So I'll actually be there on the 13th wrestling. That was the biggest goal of mine because I trained at their school. So I have been to a few of their shows and I knew coming out of the gate that was the next place that I wanted to go. And I'm very lucky and I'm very excited to get to go there and have my debut match with them.
You should definitely come check out more of the Pennsylvania wrestling scene. Even though you train in Pittsburgh, like
I know.
Slatington, PA has a nice promotion out there called PPW.
Okay.
We got Smash Masters Wrestling. It's not wrestling, it's wrestling.
Oh yeah.
Wrestling. It's a whoo wrestling. Oh my gosh. We got Alpha Junior's promotion. They're pretty good. Alpha Junior, the son of God rest his soul, one half of the Wild Samoans. That's Battlefield Pro Wrestling.
There's a lot here on the East Coast.
It's so crazy.
Nice
I've had people go, "Have you gone to this one?" I'm like, "No." "Have you gone to this one?" "No." And I'm like, there was one that I went to like it was like a while ago in a February when it's still chilly. And it was in Allentown, Pennsylvania, and it was the arena was so small that the roof was so low that anytime someone on the top row, me and my dad, Papa Panther and I cringed. We were like, the guy was like this on the top rope going, and I'm like, Jesus, don't break your neck. Don't break your neck. I want to start chanting, don't break your neck.
I might not go there.
But it's a good promotion. Like he's connected to a school. The owner is a former old school NWA wrestler, John Rambo.
They just need higher ceilings. That's it.
Yeah, no, these days those places aren't cheap. You know what I mean? Promoters have to like spend hundreds of dollars to rent out a building for like 2 hours.
Wrestling is expensive.
Oh, yeah.
All of it is.
So your gear is so nice. I like your gear in the promo picture that you sent me.
Thank you.
Who made it?
Me.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Explain.
I made it all myself. I learned to sew 2 weeks before my show because my gear was not going to get on here in time. So I got a sewing machine and watched some YouTube videos, and that's what I made.
Looks really good. You did a great job because like I've had people go to like the big high end people, you know what I mean? They go to those. There's a girl that's in upstate New York. They go to that girl. They go to this birth app, and like there's some people. There was a female wrestler. I interviewed her. It's like another space age character. She makes all her outfits. She makes lucha masks. She makes those onesies she wears, and I'm just like, man, that's talent. Like to make a full costume.
No, I can't even imagine. But it's so expensive. Like gear is hundreds and hundreds of dollars, and when you're just starting out, it's not something that you might necessarily be able to invest in. So I think I was actually talking to somebody the other day who's been wrestling for like 15, 20 years. And he was like, no, you need to learn how to make your own gear. Like it's the best decision that he's made. And then you have so much creative, like anything that you can do with it, whatever you want to come up with in your mind, you can make it yourself, which I think is so cool.
Yeah. it comes to like, if not many people in the wrestling business draw, they'll draw some of the costume they want to do, like the tights or the tank top, or the girls like bikini tights, or like the short shorts. Like yours kind of look like shorts, right? They're not like
sort of trunks, yeah, ish.
See, I would go the cheaper route. But most people say if I was a wrestler, I would go into like those swimming stores, you know, like
Oh,
the.
yeah.
And then I know the coach would be like, "Why are you wearing a bathing suit? It's almost like we're in the ring."
Wait, if you want to know a secret, the lining that you're supposed to use on like athletic clothing is a swimwear lining.
Okay.
So you would be halfway there.
Okay, yeah. I just had to send you my. I think if I became a wrestler, I would go after what my grandfather. My grandfather was a wrestler in the 50s
Oh,
and 60s.
really? Oh, that's awesome.
And I had to find like a red, like jeans short, like the little outfit, because I would have to do like my glasses, but with the paw in the middle of it, and then with the third, like that would be like my gear.
You have a logo already. That's great. That's half the problem.
Yeah, I draw, and I already know would have like the paw, and then I'll have like a pair of red glasses in the middle of the paw with the 3 and the JOE. Oh God, it'd be so cute. The middle of the paw prints, JOE.
It sounds to me like you have to make this. You have to get this made.
Yeah, I think I may have to. So when you're doing your workouts, what is jamming through your headphones? Is it heavy metal? Is it rap? Is it R&B? What do you got? 90s?
Oh God, it's whatever I click play on Spotify that day. I'm not a big like music person, which
wow.
Yeah, I know. Some people are very shocked about that.
Well,
so
I hope you'd be listening to Dudes at Ringside podcast on Spotify, because it's under Joe Panther Variety Show. So
I've tried doing podcasts actually while working out, and I get so distracted. I kind of almost need like white noise going on. Sometimes I wear headphones and no sound playing, which people think is actually psychotic, but I put the noise canceling on so I just can't hear anything.
And even those guys walking by going, you're like,
poke. I don't see anything. I look insane when I'm at the gym. Like I'm dying half the time. It's not good.
Jeez. So what do you normally start off with when you're in the gym? Like, what is your first thing you always do?
Well, it depends on the day. I do I was doing an upper lower split, and now I am doing a push pull legs again, which I'm probably going to switch back to. It just depends on what I'm feeling. Like never legs. I hate legs. So upper body is my go-to normally.
Okay. Before we go, what is one of the things that if it was a young fan watching the podcast and they wanted to get into the business, what kind of advice would you give them?
Google it. There's going to be a school near you somewhere. Like just the amount of indie production school that they have going on, there's schools near you. Google it. You'll find something close to you. And don't be afraid to shop around, because there's a lot of good schools, but there's also a lot of not as good schools. And if you're going to commit to doing something that's going to put your body in danger, you've got to find people who are trustworthy and who have your best interests at heart. And listen, if I can do this, who was not a wrestling fan, I'm slowly turning into a wrestling fan, then anybody can.
Awesome. If my fans want to follow you on social media, like how can they find you?
_DirtyJ. I have an Instagram. I don't have an X or a Facebook at the moment, but if I do, it'll likely be the same. Dirty J.
Awesome. Do you have any merch yet if the fans want to pick anything up?
I do. I have 2 merch options going on right now. I can actually probably pull one up right now. You can see. Have my assistant bring it to me.
Okay.
In box.
Hi, assistant.
In the box.
Oh, gotcha.
These are my personal favorites. This guy.
Ooh, I'm jealous. That's hot. I'd rock that.
We went with a little 90s theme. And then, of course, a little Dirty J 24/7.
Oh God. Oh God. My name starts with J, so I think they'd be thinking about myself.
Yeah, right?
Really, Joe?
Yeah. And then people can be like, oh, Joe 24/7. It works.
Yeah,
for
Joe's Dirty Joe.
everybody.
Yeah.
Joe.
Yeah, they'll be like, "Well, we know that already, Joe." Whenever. I want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It's
Yeah.
really awesome to have you on. And I hope to have you come back on maybe next year or before the end of the year. Come back and you can tell us what you've been up to. Or next year, you can have you
I'll
back
bring
on.
my title with me.
Oh man, you'll bring Goldie with you. Bring nice soldier and win that belt. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
I'm Joe Panther the Third.
I'm Joiya Blake, Dirty J.
And we will catch you in the next one.